What's good, everyone? I'm Zayas, and today I'm reviewing Masuraou by Shinichi Sakamoto. Most probably know Shinichi for Koko no Hito, which in my opinion is one of the greatest series of all time, easily top 30 if not higher, or you might even know him for Innocent or Innocent Rouge, where he created some of the best artwork we've ever seen in a manga series, and he really showed the world what you can do with digital artwork. Even his newest work, #DRCL Midnight Children, which is an adaptation of Dracula with a touch of homosexuality added in, has gorgeous artwork, even if the series as a whole hasn't really lived up to his previous works. If your first impression of Sakamoto was through any of these works, you'd be very surprised to find out that he used to write battle shonens. Inspired by works like Kinnikuman and Fist of the North Star more noticeably, which was the first work that Shinichi ever read and what inspired him to draw manga, he decided to draw two serializations and a one-shot, all battle shonens, with the second serialization being Masuraou. His early works involved samurai and muscular manly men, a pretty far cry from what he's drawing now, and even he admitted in an interview that he was basically just trying to draw a hit. He thought Koko no Hito would be his last manga because his previous works were not selling too well, and he just decided to draw whatever he wanted, and now here we are, and he's gotten 3 more series after that. Getting back to Masuraou, I'm just going to get all the positives out of the way right away, because this will be very fast. Basically, the only positive to this entire series is that it was pretty funny for the first 30 chapters. The core idea behind this entire series is that Takeshi is a virgin who can't get a girlfriend because of his incredibly large penis. You know, in a lot of ways, he's just like me. But yeah, a lot of the humor in this series revolves around his incredibly large tanker, whether it's people fainting after seeing it, or his loincloth not being able to fit because of it, or my personal favorite, the dick kettle incident. The humor in this series is just sexual in general. There's a time they made fun of that one dude for having an uncut chode, or there was a time that dude used BJJ to like sexually assault people at this loincloth festival, and the whole idea of a loincloth festival is just pretty funny as well. Loincloth scramble, rather. If you're a little more sophisticated, you might think these jokes are a little juvenile or maybe even beneath you. Me, I think that shit is hilarious. But by chapter 30, Shinichi decides to cut all the jokes, all the humor, and we're kind of just left with a bunch of garbage. Even in the first 30 chapters, there was a lot of issues and flaws in this series, but it was kind of just covered up by the fact that it was funny. And if the best part of your series is a bunch of dick jokes, you kind of do have somewhat of a problem. I actually really wanted to like this series because it's right up my alley. You know, muscular men, delinquents, fighting, the Fist of the North Star influence, you know, these dick jokes, but I really just could not do it. It was way too poorly executed and way too much of a mess for me to like it. The art feels generic and bland. It's easy to conflate it with hundreds of other series which were influenced by Fist of the North Star. Everyone has big muscles, everyone's wearing these delinquent uniforms, causing them to all look so standard and nondescript. Our protagonist looks so plain, it's actually kind of scary. Most characters have roughly a similar build and wear the same clothes. His rival literally just looks exactly like him with like a slightly different face and different hair. And then you have that karate dude in the end who's literally just a bigger version of them. Toraichi had the most potential both design and character-wise, but he never really did anything. He just won a bunch of fights and left. We never really got any insight into his character or anything. Some panels in here do actually look good, but it's so inconsistent, it's hard to say the series has good art as a whole. But you can kind of see glimpses of where he was going with the climber. The girls like Seri or the judo guy's girlfriend actually do look pretty good. I have no issues with them. And the muscles at times can look good, but a lot of times it just feels like they're used as a crutch in character design. By just giving characters big muscles, he doesn't feel the need to really give them much of a design. When the muscles are drawn poorly, they're drawn really poorly though. The traps in the shoulders are way too prominent. The characters end up looking a little bony, and in a lot of ways it kind of remind me of a diet version of Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho. The characters too are super one-dimensional. there's almost nothing to really say about a lot of these characters. They're basically just plot devices, you know, the master, the rival, his close friend. Takeshi is this dude who's supposed to be super virtuous, honorable, and manly, but he never really comes across as that type because he doesn't face any adversity. Like, the worst thing this guy's had to go through is go to a job for one day. That's like the worst he's seen. The characters' backstories and motivations were equally as bad. 90% of the time, it was literally like, oh, I want a girl, or I want to get revenge. That's basically it. And it kind of leads to a lot of the characters being very forgettable. And when it came to the fighting, there was really no tension or anticipation as to who was going to win. You basically knew before the fight started. A lot of matchups weren't very interesting just because of the lack of stakes. Like, what's at stake if you lose? You can literally just try again next year. The techniques used as well weren't very interesting. I mean, sometimes they do use actual martial arts, but it's so exaggerated to the point where it's barely even martial arts. I mean, yeah, there is panels every once and again that do look good, but it's hard to even put my finger on one of these fights, which I can say, oh, this fight is for sure the best, because they were all just kind of the same, just dudes swinging. The way that power and training was handled so nonchalantly as well was a little off-putting. Most characters just kind of had their power to begin with. When it comes to our main character, he went through a training arc for one day. Literally one day he worked at this job and he became massively more powerful. I'm sure even Shinichi does not look back on this work fondly. I mean, there is some great comedy in here. Sometimes the artwork can be good, but the rest of the series is basically how to butcher a battle shonen 101. This is like a decent 3. Thank you everyone for watching. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment about anything about manga, and hopefully I'll be making new videos every week. So